Hey, IG. How are you down there?
Hey, what's going on? Beautiful people.
Welcome, guys.
I'm going to give Facebook a chance to catch up. We are on location. We're out of town, actually, this week.
Yeah, so we apologize. We're 15 minutes behind, but Trax got us home a little late. So here we are, though, guys. Thank you for joining us.
It's only 5-something here. So
yeah,
we're coming to you guys a little bit earlier than normal, a little bit earlier for us as well, but we wanted to still make sure that we got this content out to you guys,
yes.
Even though we're on location. We're out here in Salt Lake City for Young Living's International Convention.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom is the theme. This is the third time that we've been. It is an enjoyable experience for us. We think we have a blast every time we come out here. Just some really good content today, and just really nice experience in the city. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. But we wanted to take a little time and just talk about part of the goal of these Health Talk with the Motts is we talk about how to improve your life and take care of your health and wellness. And I think sometimes we overlook the mental aspect of it, because your mental health is just as important. Oh, IG people can't see me. Sorry. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health, right? The two are interlinked. Usually if there's something going on with one, it affects the other. So it's just as important that we take is getting out of your comfort zone and the benefits that getting out of your comfort zone can have.
Yes.
For you, not only in your body. Sorry, IG. We really got to get a second setup for Instagram. We're working on that, and we're trying to work with what we got here today. But yeah, so we're talking about some of the benefits of getting out of your comfort zone. And I think when we talk about a topic like that, it seems to be a stigma to it, right? So a lot of people, when they hear like get out of your comfort zone, like try something new, like what's the first thing they start to think of? Like some people, they panic, like for them, like it's like stepping into the twilight zone. Like why would I ever want to step out of my comfort zone? You're gonna hold it? Oh, okay. And so a lot of that starts with the mentality, right? Our perception of how we view stepping out of our comfort zone. But I think if we talk about some of the benefits, it'll be a whole lot easier. Because
and I just want to chime in too, because just for those that really know me and my personality, we've been doing like these Health Talk with the Motts. We've been doing a lot of things with our podcast and stuff like that, right? This is out of my comfort zone. Like this is not my personality. I actually once had somebody like meet me in person, was like, oh my goodness, you're so much more social on social media. Like you don't even talk in person. And it like kind of threw me back. But the reality is I am more timid. I do have, I wouldn't call myself shy, but when I'm in a social setting and there's a lot of people, I get overwhelmed, I get anxious. So I thought this was fitting, being that we are in Salt Lake City, right? What brought us all the way to Salt Lake City to come to this convention? This is out of my comfort zone. To go where a bunch of people are is like not me, right? So I thought this was such a fitting subject to talk about, getting out of our comfort zone. Why even care? Why make a difference? Why make a change? Because a lot of us look at our situation or our life where we are, and we might say certain things like, I want to move further in life. I want to be in further places. But then it's like we're so afraid just to try new things, and we're so afraid to go beyond that. So it's so important that we get out of our comfort zone, because where you are does not have to be where you are doesn't have to be the only place you can be. If you want more for yourself, if you want more for your family, all it takes is just making a few different decisions and doing something different, right? Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You want to be in a different place, you're going to have to do something different.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are, they want to progress and they want to have and get more out of life. But it's that fear that keeps a lot of people from doing that. Mm-hmm. I really like this quote because it sums it up very good. It says, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. So like when you stop and think about that for a second, like there are things that you're doing, that we're doing in our everyday lives, things that we're comfortable with because we've been doing them for years. And some things you might be okay with. Some people have jobs that they love doing, and that's perfectly fine. But what about the people who are in, they're not content with where they are? And the problem comes with when you're in your comfort zone and you're not content being in your comfort zone. It's like having a garden and being upset that nothing's growing in the garden, but you haven't planted any seeds, you haven't watered. If the soil is bad, you haven't moved and tried different soil, so you're not getting the results that you want because nothing's changed. And so I think that that's something that we kind of have to reflect on, right? And stop and say, am I putting forth effort to do things that are not comfortable today to be able to experience things that I want for myself tomorrow?
Exactly.
So we'll talk a little bit about, why that's so important. I also like this quote because it says that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So I know for some people like myself, there are certain things that I'm comfortable with, but after so long becomes very mundane for me and very monotonous. And so for me, staying in my comfort zone it doesn't make me happy, So this quote really resonated with me because it was one of those things when I'm doing things that are outside of my comfort zone, that's when I really feel happy. That's when I truly feel alive, and people get to see and feel more and more of my personality, and I get to feel it, So I think that's something to think about too, is that your life doesn't begin until you start to get out of your comfort zone.
So can I add something from a completely different perspective? So when I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone, I want to throw up. I am so anxious, and anything that is different scares me. I like routine. I like things to be similar. But I realize that, again, part of living is growing, right? If you're not growing, you're what are you doing, right? So I know that I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better wife. I know that in society, I want to do more things for other people. I can't do that staying in the same place. So even if you're one of those people that you're exhilarated and you get out of your comfort zone, you're like, yes, look what I've accomplished. That feels great. Or you're the person that's I'm out of my comfort zone and I am uncomfortable. This is not what I envisioned. I fell down. This is hard. Keep going.
Yeah. I think of the analogy, this article that I was reading gave the analogy of a person who learns to swim or tries to learn to swim in the shallow end because they feel like they have that safety net. They might be afraid of learning how to swim, but they don't really dive into it, and so some just don't learn, and you gradually tiptoe until you get close to the deep end, and some people stop, but some progress further than that. And then, I think at that point it's sink or swim, right? So most people, you learn to swim or you sink to the bottom. And I think most people are successful and they learn to swim that way. I know when I was a kid learning how to swim, my grandfather threw me into the deep end of the pool and I was terrified of water. But that's how I learned how to swim, right? So just on the other side of fear can be success. And I think it's just really interesting because we live in a time technology has kind of taken that away from us. Because I think of when we were younger and, the most we had was AOL Instant Messenger. Google didn't exist. Yahoo was a big deal when it came out. But when you wanted to find out the answers to something or learn something new, you actually had to take action. You actually had to go to the library and read books on it, or you had to try, even if you were trying to self-teach, you had to try until you felt like you got better at it. But now we have technology, and so all the information's at our fingertips. So let's say, it's amazing what you can learn on YouTube, right? In the comfort of your home. But the only downside to that is it doesn't really encourage your curiosity. It doesn't encourage you to get to try new things because you can watch it being done instantaneously. So we do have some things to combat against.
Yeah.
But everything always has a challenge, right? Nothing in life really comes easy. And every day we're going to have challenges, but let's talk about the benefits of stepping out of your comfort zone, because I feel like these will really help individuals. So number one, your number one benefit of stepping outside of your comfort zone is the opportunity to grow. Challenging yourself can help you reach your peak performance level, and you can't expect to evolve or reach new heights if you only stick to your normal habits and routine lifestyle. Learning new skills and lessons will help you throughout your life. Like, how true is that? You know,
So true.
Think about, like, go back to probably like your first job. Think about the life skills that you have now compared to what you had back then, and how you would have handled situations, you know, like in your first job.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you step out of your comfort zone and you learn new skills, like, it ultimately makes it, I don't want to say makes it easier, but it makes you better at dealing with life, you know. And sometimes when we remain stuck just like in our comfort zone, like when, you know, we feel like the world comes crashing down or we experience disappointment, we have a hard time getting past it. You know, so definitely an opportunity to grow. The second one that I hands down stand behind this, because I feel like this has been huge for me, is you learn more about yourself. So taking risks will help you to grow as an individual, and will teach you about your interests, your passions, your talents, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Every time you accomplish something that you didn't think you were capable of, you become more confident, knowledgeable, and skilled at what you're doing. So I know for me, like, I'm not the same person I was even 5 years ago. And the more that we've done things, like even within our business, you know, I stepped into different professions and, you know, have tried different things, and for me, has taught me a lot about myself. It has given me a lot of skills that are transferable. Like, you never lose those, you know.
And I think too, just to add to that, one thing that I have put in, you know, for our post saying that we were going to go live, the reality is, I think sometimes we forget that we were created with the ability to grow and adapt. There's certain aspects to being a human being that, like, animals don't have.
Oh, thank you.
You know, all an animal can ever be is an animal. You know, like, a dog can only be a dog, right? But we can grow and we can expand. Like, even, you know, like a Michael Jordan or something like that, right? He got better. Like, he disciplined himself. He learned probably so much about himself, like Anthony's mentioning, in order to grow and get better. Same thing with us. The reality is the only limiting factor is what limits we put on ourselves. I mean, if it is, you know, from a biological standpoint possible, then it's possible. So, you know, obviously I'm not saying that you're going to be able to fly. You know, there are some limitations.
Hey, you might be able to figure that out, though.
Right. There are some limitations that might be put on your body, but to a certain extent, we have the ability to get better. One thing, you know, being at convention, so we got to hear a lot about Gary Young's story. Mary presented on that, and, you know, so many times he was told, right, that, like, yeah, he's pretty much gonna die. Like, yeah, this is it, right? But he didn't accept that, and he adapted, he grew, and he was able to learn more about what was told to him was impossible.
So I think it's important, because if you don't know who you are, right, you know, how can you help and assist other people, right? Or how can you get more out of life, because you don't even know what you want. So when you step out of your comfort zone and you learn more about yourself, you know which direction you want to go in ultimately. Let's talk about the third one. So the third one is expanding yourself and your creativity. It says, when you try something new, you may find a new hobby or talent that you didn't know that you had. New and challenging situations require you to find your own creativity in order to reach a solution. So this one is, like, huge, because I feel like, you know, like, when people, I don't want to necessarily use this analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway. But take, for instance, when people are dating, or like when you get to know, or you're trying to get to know someone, like, one of the questions you ask someone is, like, what do you like to do for fun? Like, what are your hobbies? Do you know, like in our business, so we network and talk to people and get to know people. Do you know how many times I hear people tell me, like, I don't know. I mean, I like to watch TV, or I like go out to the movies or hang with some friends or something like that. But they don't really know what they enjoy. They don't have a hobby, and it's weird to me because I grew up like anyone who knows my mother. Like my mother was like the hobby enthusiast. Like she forced us to develop hobbies as kids. So like we did a little bit of everything, like drawing, singing, painting, like anything artistic. And so like growing up, I remember people ask me like, "What do you like to do for fun?" "Oh, I like to draw. I like to sing. I like to go bowling." Like that was defined for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only because we were put into situations where we got to learn and try new things. So I feel like that's important because, when you expand your creativity, you never know what you're good at.
Right.
So.
Or what you can become good at, right? So, like, again, I go back to, like, just because the first time you did it, you weren't good at it, doesn't mean that it's not something that you can learn, grow, and become good at. But you don't even know if that's a possible interest if you never try it, if you never expand and go out of your comfort zone, right? So you might try it and you're like, yep, I hate that. You might try it again and you're like, yep, still hate that, don't want to do that. And that's fine, right? But as you're getting out of your comfort zone, trying more things, you might find something that you're like, well, that's kind of fun. Not very good at it, but it's kind of fun. And it's worth your time to get better at.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I feel like that leads right into the next one, like, you increase your self-confidence. So tackling the unknown and proving to yourself that you can push past your boundaries and limiting self-beliefs, it builds your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And insecurity loves to feed on your habit of not trying. So if you stop thinking and start acting, you will realize what's possible. So this is a big one, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, especially for my generation, it's interesting because remember we were talking to an old classmate of mine, and she was just talking about like when our generation got out of high school and went to college, like the job market was plummeting, right?
Yes.
So we had all of these people who went to school for, whatever their interest was, that was graduating from college with no jobs. And so I look at like the results of that, and I feel like a lot of people our age lost confidence, in their ability to do things. And I don't know if that's linked to that at all. That kind of resonated with me. But you can tell, like, their facial expression, their body language. And because we were always told growing up, like, go to school, get a good job, and, work your 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. Yeah. But what happens when that goes away?
And I think a lot of times, too, hey, Larissa. And I think a lot of times what happens, too, is we go back to that where people think there's certain things like natural talented, or they look at other people and say, oh, but they're doing that, but my situation is different. And that is, again, a lack of confidence within yourself. Because for some reason, at some time, somebody told you, you can't do that. Or you're not good enough for that. Or just because that person has that situation, you're not going to be able to do that. So it's so important to get those negative thoughts away from you and realize that, again, within your power, you have the control. If you don't like your situation, your financial situation, your spiritual situation, your mental situation, your emotional situation, if you don't like your circle, your friends, the people that are around you, look, you can't choose your family, but if you don't like your family, get another circle, right? That's your choice. But as you expand and you're growing and getting out of that comfort zone, your self-confidence is going to go up. You're going to say, I'm worth more than this. I'm not worth the negativity. I'm not worth, the people around me. And you're going to attract what you are.
I also think from the standpoint of you become confident in your skills to do something. So let's say like even, I don't know, like in your job, if you're reaching out for, more aspirations within your means of employment, the more confident you are doing something, like, business owners and bosses, like, they're attracted to that. That's the things that they look for. Like, people gravitate towards confident people. So even if you're looking for more friendships within your life, that confident, like, you'll attract people who are attracted to confidence.
Right.
And you'll become, I feel like you'll become better at it.
Yes.
So let's move on to go ahead. You have something.
I was just going to say, and everybody, feel free to drop any questions you might have. Somebody did ask something about complacency on IG. So drop your questions. We'll be answering those live as well, and discussing some of those as we kind of go through some of these different points.
You have to go back and listen to it. We actually did one on that when talking about when you're stuck in a rut and being complacent. So you have to go back and listen to
our podcast on that one.
But let's talk about number 5. I feel like we kind of touched on it, but you learn to deal with challenges. Life is unpredictable, and it's important to have skills and confidence to face them head on. So knowing that you are able to overcome something you thought was insurmountable will build your confidence and reinforce your independence of who you are. So, like when you step out of your comfort zone, you're going to be doing a lot of things that you don't think that you're capable of doing. And the ride or the journey along the way may feel uncomfortable. Like you might feel like, I can't do this, but when you finish and you do accomplish it, you feel like you can accomplish anything, right?
I mean, that's so powerful.
I feel like it sounds campy, but it's kind of the truth.
Yeah, and it's so powerful because it's so true. It seems so impossible, and then you push, and then you do it, and then you look back and you're like, what was I thinking? Yeah, look at me, I can do that. It's so powerful. It's so powerful.
And that way, you're going to have roadblocks, along your journey. But when you learn and when you have the self-confidence, you learn to overcome previous roadblocks, then you're just like, oh, okay, it's another roadblock. All right, I'll figure out how to get around it.
And accepting the fact that there's going to be challenges will help too, because the reality is it ain't gonna be all rainbows and butterflies, right? You're gonna have challenges. It's going to be some work. You're gonna be, because you're out of your comfort zone. It's not gonna come easy. So knowing that ahead of time is gonna prepare you for, okay, this is the roadblock. I knew this was gonna happen. I'm gonna be bigger than that, and I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to number 6. So this was a huge one for me. So life becomes more lively. When your life stops being a scene from a movie like Groundhog Day, I know I'm dating myself a little bit. Some people may not remember that movie, but everything shows up different. Life becomes more interesting and worth living. Risks may look like adventures, and obstacles could look like opportunities. When you are happier on the inside, your appreciation for what's around you increases, and you surprise yourself daily. So I talked about this briefly, like when we first started, but this one was huge for me, just because I don't like things being mundane. Part of the reason that Dana and I started, DNA Health and Wellness, and why we even got into even the network marketing portion of our business, is we wanted to have the opportunity to do whatever we wanted to a certain extent, and that every day is different. Every day has a new challenge. It's usually not the same.
No.
And as a person who still works a 9-to-5 job and builds a business, I can tell you I enjoy building my business way more than I do going into my 9-to-5 job, because it's the same, right? And so I think that, when you try new things, like, they are interesting, and you are having fun along the way. And then, ultimately, you want to make sure that you're happy on the inside, So rather than giving the appearance that you enjoy what you're doing, like, why not actually try new things and find something you genuinely enjoy, rather than trying to take something that you don't enjoy and make it look like you enjoy it.
Right. And again, it's work. So don't get confused. Nobody's saying that, ooh, I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to have fun and make, paper airplanes because that brings me joy, so you're going to still have to work. You're going to have to, hustle, do certain things, but it's so different when it's something you truly enjoy. And granted, those paper airplanes, you probably can make some money with it and market it and do something with it. You might have to just figure out how that's going to work. But the reality is, it's different when it's something that really drives you and you're passionate about. Again, another thing that was spoke on today at a general session for convention, passion.
What's the difference between excitement
and passion, right? Excitement is the little lighter, it lights up. Ooh, look at the little flame, right?
It's your pilot light.
Nothing, right? But what is that passion, right? So that passion is like when the whole thing is ignited and we're ready to go, right? We're cooking burgers or we're doing whatever. Like the whole thing is ignited and we're running. And it feels different. It doesn't feel like work when it's passion. It doesn't feel like work when it's fulfillment. It doesn't feel like work when it's purpose.
And you surprise yourself every day, so every day is like a new experience. You know, so ultimately, that one's huge. You know, I want people to enjoy their lives, you know, and enjoy what they're doing. Find something that brings them joy in their life. You know, because then, I mean, that'll lead to, you know, our last one, number 7, is building new relationships. So you're gonna spread that. Trying something new helps you to meet all sorts of new people you may not have met otherwise, staying in your comfort zone. In order to have good relationships with others, you must have a good relationship with yourself. If you are not happy with who you are or what you do, it will be challenging to value the good qualities of the people around you. Stepping out of your comfort zone, discovering who you are, and overcoming your fears will ultimately result in better relationships with others, and your drama decreases as your confidence and your life's perspective increases. So, you know, I see on Facebook and Instagram, like, people these days are always, I'm all about no drama, no drama. Well, if you don't want drama, build healthy new relationships. And that requires stepping out of your comfort zone. Because take, like, yourself, for example, like, you're more introverted, you know, so something like that probably is definitely out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this, like, because we kind of talk about, like, extrovert and introvert. So an introvert gets and derives more energy from within. An extrovert derives and gets more energy from outside. So it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with whether you're shy or you're not shy or whatnot. But I am an introvert, but I also have issues in social settings with a lot of people. I get extremely uncomfortable and anxious.
Yeah, you came to a convention with 30,000 people in an arena?
And I did. And I literally walked into the Vivint today and I'm like, I want to throw up. But, you know, I kept pushing because even though it's out of my comfort zone, I know the benefit of the education and what I'm going to get. The relationships that I'm building here are going to be so much surpass any small thing that I had to overcome to get there, right? And when we talk about relationships, you know, I just think about, you know, as you guys know, we're in a relationship business, right? It's all about relationships. But there's relationships that I have kindled that, you know, years have gone since I've, you know, really had strong relationships with these people. And I'm so grateful for that and thankful. But if I never got out of my comfort zone, I never would have experienced those. And there's so many people that, like, are going through your situation and are wanting to root you on, but you might not have met them yet, right? But if you only stay complacent, if you only stay in one place, you're never going to grow beyond that.
And so ultimately, the only way to really gauge your growth. Oh, and for those wondering, I'm an ambivert, so I am an introverted extrovert. I just seem extroverted to my wife, but I'm typically introverted as well. Because I know somebody is going to comment on that later. But, you know, so let's wrap up with some final thoughts, because ultimately the way that you gauge whether you're having growth and stepping out of your comfort zone is when you start to become comfortable doing things that are uncomfortable to you. Good things don't happen to us, you know, just because they happen. You know, like, good things happen because we take action and we make steps and we're willing to step out of our comfort zone to make those things happen. So, you know, if you have something in your life that you want to accomplish and you're just terrified to do it, just do it. You know, like Nike slogan, like, just do it. You know, because even taking a small step towards that goal is going to seem huge at first. And then you take more steps and more steps, just like that pool analogy, just like you're walking to the deep end. Like, people tiptoe, you know, they don't take these large gaping steps, you know, they tiptoe because they're terrified or afraid, you know. So the same thing applies, you know, in stepping out of your comfort zone. So, you know, whatever your venture is, whatever you're trying to do in life, like, keep at it. Step out of your comfort zone. Take action each day that's going to get you to that goal, because that's the only way that you're going to get there.
And that's key. Each day, take action. Know your personality. You might be the one that needs to tiptoe into the pool to get used to it, or you might be the one that needs to just go ahead and dunk yourself in and then keep it moving. But do it.
Or you might need to get thrown in.
Right. But just do it. So please be sure to like, share, comment. We'll come back, answer any comments that you may have.
Hold on 1 second. Before we get there, I just want to leave everyone with this thought, you know, on that topic. Because I kind of want to see in the comments, post something below, like, name one thing that's out of your comfort zone that you would like to accomplish that might be inside somebody else's comfort zone that they might be able to help you with. Like, just feel free to post that in this video and create some type of, interaction.
Right, in the comments, yeah. So go ahead and post that in the comments. And even if you are listening to this on the podcast, we are on CastBox. You can hear all of our health talks as well as our weekly podcast that we upload there.
We're on iTunes now.
We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. So anywhere you listen to regular podcasts, just look us up, DNA Wellness, Health Talk with the Motts. And rate us and comment there. We'll go back and we will definitely respond to any comments you might have.
All right. Building a business while has been a big step for me. I like that.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
So,
yep, and share and like. We want to build this community. And if there's certain topics that we haven't hit on that you want us to address, let's go ahead and discuss those.
Yeah, absolutely. But till then, everybody stay healthy, take care of yourselves. We look forward to talking and meeting with you guys throughout the month and, in our next Health Talk with the Motts. But in the meantime, we're going to enjoy the rest of our vacation down here in Salt Lake City.
But we love you so much that even though we're on vacation, we made sure we still did our monthly Health Talk with the Motts.
Yeah. So till then, everyone take care. Peace.
Bye, IG.